welcome back to Slice of Anime, where we talk about everything anime. Today, we're going to be reviewing The Great Pretender, Season 1. So, to give you a synopsis, we're going to go based off my anime list. It says here, a series of unfortunate events has led Makoto Edamura, but we just go by Makoto because that sounds crazy, to adopt a life of crime, pickpocketing and scamming others for a living. However, after swindling a seemingly clueless tourist, Makoto discovers that he was the one tricked, and to make matters worse, the police are now after him. While making his escape, he runs into the tourist once again, who turns out to be a fellow conman named Lawrence Theory, and ends up following him to Los Angeles. In an attempt to defend his self-proclaimed title of Japan's greatest swindler, Makoto challenges his rival to determine the better scammer. Accepting the competition, Laurent drops them off outside a huge mansion and claims that their target will be the biggest mafia boss on the West Coast. Jumping from city to city, Great Pretender follows the endeavors of Makoto alongside the cunning Lawrence and his colorful associates in the world of international high-stakes fraud. Soon, Makoto realizes that he got more than what he bargained for, as his self-declared skills are continually put to the test. So that was the synopsis. The genre based on this is an action, adventure, mystery, comedy, and psychological. It is rated R. It is made by Wit Studio, and which is surprising. We just learned that today. Actually, we didn't even know. So that's cool, I guess. And it has 23 episodes, which first aired in July 9th of 2020. So those are the facts, and I guess in
this video we will be covering only season 1.
So it will be 14 episodes, I guess. So to start it off with the opening, and it's jazz, and I'm gonna honestly give it like a 5. This is not my thing. So what about you?
I actually thought it wasn't bad. I actually kind of enjoyed it because like that jazz kind of gave me kind of like a Cowboy Bebop kind of vibe. That it didn't sound the same, but it gave me a similar vibe to it. So it kind of gave me a little nostalgia listening to it. So I thought it also fit well, and the artwork used in the intro really fit well with the show and kind of the theme it was going for. I was watching some of it with somebody who doesn't really watch anime, and they actually stated how they liked the intro, like the jazz and all the colors and the visuals. I thought it was pretty entertaining personally. I actually liked it.
No, it does
not enough
cool.
to watch in every episode though. I skipped.
Oh yeah, I'm pretty sure the majority of people
but
skip the intros.
If I was to give it a numerical score, I think I'll do like 7.5 out of 10, which may seem high, but actually kind of like jazz. I thought for what it was, I thought it was pretty good.
Oh, all right. So that's the opening, and I'll go ahead and go to the closing, right? Because let's do that here right now. It's Freddie Mercury, right? That sang this song, and I mean, I like fucking Freddie Mercury. I don't know who doesn't, to be honest. So 8 out of 10, straight up. How about you?
Yeah, I thought that, and it was also fire as well. I liked it more than the intro. I also give it an 8 out of 10, and I thought I was almost taken off guard a bit by it, but it was dope. It was actually really good.
Yeah. All right. So let's go into the character design and the animation, which pretty much
the general
visuals.
art style.
Yeah, pretty much. So what do you think? Actually, let me ask you that.
I really like the art style. I thought it fit with the world that it was trying to like convey to us as viewers. It was again like really colorful, and Wit Studio always does a really good job with like movements and stuff, and even just their drawings in general. Like maybe their mouths, how like a lot of them had that like weird creepy grin. Maybe that's the one thing that maybe like I was a little iffy about, but I liked it as well because like a lot of people are con artists, so they have that sleazy smile, so it makes perfect sense, to be honest.
I like how cool it is.
I thought it looked great.
Yeah, how like cool and sharp and like skinny and tall, like they make these characters look like it's this particular style that they go for, and the colors that they did with the shading and all that was pretty nice.
They used a lot of different colors for shading, which it just made scenes look very interesting. And I thought everything was like because some shows can either get too dull, and shows like this that I think aren't meant to be taken super duper serious. To be honest, I see this more as like a show that you want to have fun with.
Yeah.
I think it fits like perfectly well.
Yeah, it's like they dip their toes into color theory or some shit, and it's just very vibrant overall, and I really dig
Yeah,
it.
it's super vibrant.
All right.
My favorite especially is usually when they like pan over like the ocean or like a sunset, instead of just like a blue sky or like a dark sky on like water, they have like the water purple or like a very yellow sky. It's just a very nice color. Like, man, I'm a sucker for uh very nice colors. What about the animation?
The animation, I mean, there was not much going on for like I don't know, it's just very standard to me. It's just really the art style that really popped out, but the animation in terms of like how smooth it is, or how, that's how I think of it. Right, but like I don't know, it's pretty standard, right? Nothing crazy. It's not really a fighting anime or a very actiony type of anime, I guess you could say.
No, it's not.
But besides that, it's just really like each frame. A lot of these like frames, if it's like if it was a still, it'll pop out most of the time. That's pretty much what all I can say about that.
The scenes where like they did have a lot of things moving, I thought were actually pretty like done pretty nicely. Like the scenes when they were inside the airplanes, to do the race, I thought it was like, I mean, it looked well. They used some 3D planes, a couple of hand drawn when it was more like a still. Like nothing looked like terribly bad or something. There wasn't always too much going on in the show, like you said, so like nothing special, but it's definitely like at least average, which sometimes, hey, we don't even get that.
So what would you rate
I
it?
appreciate it. The animation, nah, like pretty average, like a 7 out of 10, maybe even 6.5,
Yeah,
7.
I would
'Cause, like,
say.
there's nothing special about it.
Yeah, I'd say because it's vibrant, because of all the things they did with the coloring, and because I'm a little bit biased here, just with the whole how they're figured, how their characters
Yeah.
just look, how very
They're
like
very
slender
slender designs.
Yeah,
Yeah, they're
exactly.
very.
I would say like an 8, to be honest. I think an 8 is pretty fine with me. So you can expect
I agree.
that.
Actually, I take it back to like an 8.
Okay. Yeah.
I
No,
didn't
yeah,
give it
that's
as much
pretty good.
credit because I didn't give it as much credit because as like there wasn't like too many like super scenes that like super godlike animations. The characters did move a lot, so it did have a lot of movement, which is a huge improvement because especially back when they did Attack on Titan. Although I loved them on the series, they used a lot of stills and like
Yeah.
characters didn't really move when they didn't have to. And here I think they actually had a good amount of movement and it looked
Yeah.
pretty well.
No.
And like you said, the art style and the slenderness, I thought everything was pretty great.
Yeah. Yeah, no, definitely. All right. So that will be the animation, the visuals segment rating of this. And now we're going to move on to pretty much the meat of this, the plot, the character development, and maybe the plot holes that occurred here. Which, to be honest, it had like they had like different arcs, right? They had like 2 or 3. Some like they kind of split it up.
3 arcs. It was
Yeah.
split into 3 arcs, which is the Los Angeles arc, the Singapore, I believe, arc,
Yeah.
and I forgot the other one.
Yeah, I know they based it like around the characters, right? I think the first one was more well, I was remembering it more of the scam that they were doing, what conning business they were doing. So first one being the drug manufacturing and selling, then the second one being the airplanes, and where were they? They looked like Dubai or something. But
I believe it was Singapore.
Singapore, okay. I actually don't
believe
remember.
so.
I just go based on the whole thing. But that, and then the last one, which was in Paris, right? I think. And straight off the bat, I'm gonna say that my favorite ones, or my least favorite one, I guess, would be the second one, with the whole Abigail's backstory and the planes and whatnot. Just wasn't my thing. Just kind of didn't care type. So yeah, I really actually did enjoy the first and the third one. It was very, there was something actually going on when it comes to Abigail's story development there. I feel like it was forced. Like you didn't really like, she seemed goofy ish in the start, and then they kind of like, they were like, what the fuck, like, yo, Like she was a soldier. She fucking had her family murdered and this shit. And like they just hit you, slamming you against it with all this bullshit. And I mean, whatever, if you can call it bullshit, the backstory shit. And I personally just thought it was too forced and too fast. And so convenient that they had this fucking pilot that was handicapped because of the accident that happened, where his backstory kind of aligns with hers, and so they find like this whole emotional bond, and it was just so weird for me in that sense. It was just not my thing. Along that, the other thing I didn't like is just everything kind of worked in their favor. You know, there was no struggle, there was not like actual challenge besides that emotional trauma, which I guess others may say that it's like that's a big deal. But besides that, like their whole scamming, their whole conning that they were doing by trying to win these races and you know, just get all this cash and shit with this underground casino or whatever they had going on, everything kind of worked to their favor very like easily. There was hardly any struggle or challenge again. So it was just so, I don't know, I just didn't really care for that arc. But that's what I really have to say about that second. That's what really stood out to me overall. That's, you know, yeah. What about you? What do you think about any of these arcs? Did you have a special one or like a least favorite one?
Well, when it comes down to, you know, they're broken down in 3 arcs, which I did in fact confirm. It was Los Angeles, Singapore, and London was like where they mainly took place. And so in the first arc, you know, when they first introduced the majority of the characters, actually, to be honest, I quite enjoyed the show. I quite enjoyed all 3 arcs for what they were. Now, I actually agree with a lot of your points in terms of the well, before I get into that, I liked the introduction of the characters, and I actually liked the way it kind of happened, although it did seem kind of random. But I think for the show, like the approach that the show was trying to take, I feel like it's okay, you know, like it didn't bother me too much. I thought the show was pretty fun, especially like the first one, when like how quickly, you know, things kind of went left, and how it quickly escalated from, you know, him just doing, you know, just him just being like a regular con artist, like pickpocketing people and things of that nature, you know, trying to sell products, to all of a sudden he's working with a drug lord. And so I thought it was very fun. And at the end of the first arc, which for me was my favorite part, when the fake FBI, when he found out that all was fake, that actually caught me by surprise. I didn't see that coming. I was like, oh shit.
Yeah.
So I thought that was a pretty cool. So like that one to me was the best one for sure. Because everything else, like that one seemed like outside of a few miscalculations, you know, like that they planned it very thoroughly. The other ones, like you said, a lot of stuff just kind of seemed to go in their favor. And maybe that is the flaw with the main show, that like, I understand that they're very good at what they do and they're excellent con artists, but when you make everybody else like a moron and kind of fall for these, you know, like scams very easily, and they don't, you know, it's not like they ever struggle. I just don't understand why it's so easy. So I feel like they definitely should have appointed a lot more challenges. But for what it was, even the second and third arc, when it came to the paintings and how they developed Cynthia's character, and because, you know, they needed those and I, you know, might sound like I'm all over the place, but I really liked the cast. I liked all main characters, like all of the characters. I thought they were enjoyable, and I thought they were pretty like funny for the most part, and I thought they were a likable group of characters.
I liked
I just really do kind of wish that they had more struggles for sure.
Yeah, definitely, because that was kind of like too convenient. The first one, they did have struggles, I feel like you always need that. You always need, like, that's like a must. And I like that Makoto, for the first arc we're talking about, the Makoto is like, he doesn't know what the fuck he's getting himself into. He's in a different country. He doesn't even know these people, and then he's getting into like this whole drug thing that he actually despises, that he mentions, and he just doesn't like it. They didn't want to be a part of it. That also goes into the reason why he actually went to prison because of that, to fucking, as a way to take
Redeem
accountability.
and
Yeah, exactly. So
sure.
So where was I going with this? So yeah, there was that he, and then he saw that those two people, Abigail and Laurent, died in front of him, and it was just so much going on. There was so much tension. To go from that to the second arc where not much of that was happening, not that much level of intensity, and like all that drama and all that shit, like not really, it never really reached that. I just I just did not care for Abigail's backstory. Weirdly enough, I don't know why. It just I didn't feel for her, so that was kind of whack. But I can't actually
liked her as a
tell.
character.
Yeah, Abby is cool, but
I like how she looks. I like how
yeah,
she looks.
yeah, it's pretty cool. She's like that, like a very standard sexy chick from Miami. It looks like to me, at first glance, but she's not from Miami at all. So, well, what was I gonna say? It's hard for me to pick which one's my favorite arc, to be honest. The first one or the last one, cause I really like what was going on there with that big macho guy that had his son. That's that little backstory there that he didn't really care for the boss and shit. He was like, fuck it.
Yeah, for sure.
And I like what they did with that character.
I think
Yeah.
I think because, not to put words in your mouth or anything, but I think it adds a sense of humanity to the characters. You know what I'm saying? And it's not like just they're just doing it for the sake of doing it, but like people like actually have goals and they're doing it for a reason. Like you said, the bodyguard, and I actually agree with you in terms of like I actually really liked that character as well, and I liked that whole section. And even though they were doing these things, like they showed some humanity, and like Makoto was at the end, he still didn't want anybody to die, even though in his head he turned on people, and he also really wanted him to be with his son and try to live a meaningful life with him. So I thought that was like a really good story as the plot was progressing.
What I really liked about this that was different and refreshing was that is just that the scamming, it's conning, it's very different. You don't really see that. It's not mainstream to see that type of content,
especially not in anime,
which obviously would include what they mentioned. Well, what we went through in the facts in the beginning was that it is an action adventure. It's what else is it? It's comedy, psychological, right? So it's all of that. What you'd expect.
I disagree with something though. I disagree with the mystery part of it, because I think I think a flaw with the show is that, like, although you're obviously going to know that things are predictable, but it's just, I think it comes back to the point that like they had no troubles or struggles, so it's like it almost went too well for them. So it's like there's not much of a mystery if everything just literally goes according to plan, and even if it doesn't, you have a backup plan that goes according to plan. Yeah, so it's just like, yeah, so there's like no struggle or any, like, every single hiccup is just very minor, and they just overcome it, which is dope. But it's like I need to see some sort of like challenge. Like I understand they're great con artists, but like they can't be that great to the point where like they everything just works out perfectly.
And what was weird to me was that they look, Laurent, this team that Makoto, I forgot his name already, this team that he joins, they're like all pretty much pros. Like they're good at what the fuck they do. They've racked up mad bread, and it's just weird to me why they picked them up. Like I still don't see why they picked them up. It just seems like they just got bored and they saw this bit of potential, right? That's probably the only thing the only reason why they picked him up. Oh, this guy could become something, right? So let's pick him up.
Well,
but totally like unneeded. They definitely don't need him at all, to be honest. It's just so weird how there's not really an actual reason unless they bring it up in the next season.
Yeah. They actually don't seem to really need him. I get why they took him, because of the he tried to con him, and then so he saw that he was about that, and then when they mentioned at the end that the reason why he is a good con man because he's persuasive and stuff like that, so I guess it's gonna help him, but in reality they're helping themselves as well, because they're gonna make even more money with him. And even though I agree in the case where like they don't really need him, when you look at it, like why is he even there sometimes?
Yeah, it was just a little bit unusual. That stood out to me. Like, why do they keep
it helped
annoying him to get him back onto this team? And
because
it does help, but he's also like I don't want to be this. I don't want to be a part of this. And these guys that like are like, yo, bro, we want to help. We only scam the bad people in the world. We want to help those that are in need and shit. And they keep forcing this young kid to be a part of them when they don't even need him. It was just a little bit weird to me.
But I think maybe that's exactly a kind of behavior that people like that would have, because people like Lauren and them, you could consider them as like, especially Lauren, he's kind of like a sociopath, you know, like he just lies to people just to get, you know,
Yeah,
what he
that's
wants,
true.
and he shows very little remorse for stuff. So, and you know, they use Makoto as almost like he does a lot of grunt work too, because in some cases he did help, like again with the drug, and he's a doctor from Asia, because somebody who isn't Asian, you know, would stereotypically, you know, be like, oh, you know, he's a doctor from a different country. They showed him the drug, so he was bought in. And then in the second one, where he became friends with the people, you know, to become a mechanic. While I agree, they probably could have gotten it done again without him, some sort of way. But I think he showed his value and he helped sometimes, so I can see why. But still,
Yeah.
I feel like
I mean, no, that is a good
sometimes.
point. This Laurent guy he does not care. He's like relentless. He'll get what he wants, and nobody really understands how he thinks. Really, he just does whatever. Actually, I'm considering now, um, that the third arc that they had here when they were in Paris was probably the best one to me. I think that was my favorite, because they're talking about art. They're talking about scamming art, and that's like, how do you not con any art pieces from a gallery or from what could be a fucking hundred thousands to millions of dollars? Like it's just, that's what I think about when I think of scamming, and
That
it
people pay
just,
a lot of money for.
and it makes perfect sense that they include that here. Like they want to make big bucks. Well, this is the place, you know, this is where you want to get involved at to make big bucks. So I really like that. It just felt fitting. The one thing I didn't like from this arc was that, which kind of gets resolved later on gradually, is that there was like this romance between Abigail and, or not Abigail, Cynthia, right? That was her
Cynthia.
name.
The
Cynthia
artist.
and this artist that is really good at drawing fake shit or painting fake shit. That relationship was really weird, because I noticed that there was like a ton of scenes with them where they just have the music playing, and they're just, you know, they really want the viewers to get attached to this relationship, to like really appreciate, acknowledge this bond, and know that it's like really like something tight, real, and that there's something there. It's just, they brought that so randomly again. Like there was a situation where like the same thing with Abigail. What they did, they just hit you with a backstory, just like nothing, just slapped you in the face with it. It's just more lovey-dovey and shit type, but it's still the same, like that's the same fucking principle. And tons of music too, tons of like lovey-dovey shit for a long time. I'm like, bro, like can you skip this shit? Like I don't want to see this anymore. Like I get it, they like each other, but like shit, you don't have to like shove it down my throat type shit. So that kind of annoyed me, but eventually I kind of was like, I fuck with this guy. This guy that could paint fake bullshit. It's pretty cool. He's pretty chill. I understand why he's doing what he's doing, and I fucked with him. But in the beginning, it was very kind of fucking annoying. My favorite one is probably gonna be the first arc. Less plot holes in that one, and less shit that just bugged me out on that first arc, rather than
That was
the
the
second
twist.
and third.
I believe the first arc, the first is where like they actually caught me a little bit when they faked the death and the whole thing was faked. Like that's when I
Yeah,
actually
that
got
whole
caught. The
that.
rest of the ones were a
Mhm.
little more like, okay, like you know what's going on, but those were like, I was like, oh shit, like that was a turn.
Yeah,
I
that
thought
was
that was
like
a
the
pretty
the
good
only time where
plot
like
twist.
that, like out of the whole show, that was like, that reveal was probably the best one out of all the other bullshit that they had going on. I
For
I
sure.
I like the art arc a lot, the arts arc, yeah. But I think the first one was probably the best one. The last episode really made me appreciate Thomas. That's his name, and his counterfeiting abilities. And Lawrence seems more interesting than ever now, because you know what the fuck is his intentions, right? I actually thought the backstory of Laurent was gonna be this third arc, to be honest. After Abigail's second arc or whatever, after that, I was like, oh, okay, they're going based on each character in this little team that they got going on. So for some reason, Laurent came to mind, not Cynthia. I don't know why, but I
Yeah.
guess
He's
I
in the
believe
second season. It takes place in the second season.
his has to happen. So we just might watch that, to be honest. But probably later on. I know this episode or this review was a little bit delayed. But I think we want to take a little breather from this series and just tackle something else.
The reason why we're gonna take a break from the series is because from what I've read and so far for a lot of feedback that I've heard from the Great Pretender. Well, Great Pretender is that the second season is very subpar and lackluster, and that the first three arcs are like the pinnacle of the show. So that really makes me not look forward towards season two, especially since it's not very long, and that I heard it's bad. So, but we will get to it, and if warranted, we will put out another review for the second season, or an extension to where we speak about our thoughts, our quick thoughts about it.
Well, we actually didn't give our rating for the plot. So what would you rate the whole story, the whole concept, pretty much?
So I have like there's like two things. So it's like I give it like a 6, and it could have been very good, but as much as I did enjoy watching it, like you said, a lot of the plot holes, a lot of the situations just went too well, a lot of stuff. So it did kind of take away from a lot of like the intensity and like the. It would have been even more fun if you see them struggle, have to really overcome stuff. But so I give it like a 6. It could have been much better, but I thought overall it was enjoyable for what it is.
I did enjoy it. I actually thought it was interesting. It's unique. You don't really see the scamming business in anime. So
Yeah, I
because
like
of
the plot
that,
line. The plot line's
because of
cool.
that, yeah, I enjoyed it. Even though there was some bullshit that annoyed me, irked me. Even through all that, I think this fits very well in a 7 to me out of 10. And yeah, I don't know. It looks visually appealing. It's pretty mint in
Appreciate it.
that area. But story could have been better. But anyways, if this sounds at all interesting to you and you haven't seen it, which is kind of weird because we do spoilers in this, so you probably already seen it if you're watching
Even
this.
so, but even
So
so, if you haven't, it might be worth checking out if you got some pastime and just want
yeah,
to see like a cool, if you want to see something about scam artists and things of that nature. Again, it's pretty unique, at least in terms of in anime. So maybe worth a watch. And
yeah, very
yeah,
different, very chill. So yeah, that should be it. Next anime is gonna be Heaven Official's Blessing. We're gonna try to get this back on track and upload these on a regular basis. We were a little bit delayed
weekly,
here
yes.
this episode because we were a bit busy, but moving forward, it should be again back on track. So that should be it. Appreciate you guys all for watching. If you really enjoyed it, smash that like button, por favor. Comment
Like, comment,
whatever
subscribe. No,
thoughts
man.
are and all
Any
that.
feedback would be really appreciated. And
Yeah.
yeah,
All right.
peace.
So catch y'all.